the work that you have done. So as far as this week's assignment is going to be the collage. And we'll talk more about this while bringing in more Photoshop examples. But for Thursday, I want you to present what subject matter is going to be your poster. So this is basically a traditional assignment that the entire country of art schools are giving. And it's basically designing a poster that can be viewable on buildings, on buses, on magazines, on web pages, and so forth. And it's basically including type and image. But part of bringing type and image together is also the idea of design. And that's where we use the geometric shapes. So this is really putting together like an event, or it could be a political statement. So this is where you come in with your decision on what you want it to be. So right now, basically, to do the poster format, I didn't put in here, it could be a book cover, right? That's another category. I could put package design, but that's way too involved. So, I mean, if we did do a package design, it would just be one side of the package, right? Because the poster is only one sheet. Now, the sheet can be vertical or horizontal. Obviously, print media that's going to go on buses will be more than likely horizontal. Media that's going to go on buildings is going to be more like vertical. Web pages pretty much have both. So the important part is thinking about the subject matter. It's really, that is in your court. You can choose the subject matter. And so what I've opened it up to be is it could be a public service announcement. You could do a poster about COVID, safe behaviors and things, or whatever statement you want to be. It could be an event. Doesn't have to be performing arts. It could be an event for a conference, a game conference of any kind. It also can be an album, right? If you love music and you have a particular artist that you love, it could be a release of a new album that you have designed. It could be a political, social statement. It could be about sustainability, environmental, just your appreciation of nature. And that's where the creative expression can be, where a creative expression is just something that doesn't really have a commercial context, but is more about design. And then, of course, it can be an advertisement for a product or a service. So that is big, product and services. A product could be a game design. A product could be a piece of furniture. It could be cosmetics. A service could be something that you have created in a brainstorming way to design an app, right? Apps are products, and services can also be a service as well. So this is a range of choices to make. And what we're going to be doing is learning more tools, such as with, in Photoshop, working with type and images. So there's lots of techniques to show you how to work with type and how to get type to be manipulated within design, and how to pull things together so that it's cohesive. And, like right now, I put this in there because this is a student's work. And this was the one that was in progress. And what we did was we took this item, this item, this item, this item, and we moved it to the front so that it was much more readable. So everything in the back got darker. So that's really important about readability. When you're doing something that has type, you have to be able to read it. Otherwise, it's not, unless it's just utilized as texture. You can use type just as a pattern, not really important to read, but things that are important to read, you want to be sure that you can read this. So these are just some examples utilizing what we call conceptual ideas of layout and design, utilizing type, images, and again, geometric shapes.
Professor.
Yes, yes.
Good morning, by the way.
Good morning.
Does the poster have to correlate with the hyperrealism, or it could
No,
be a
not
whole
at all.
different thing?
Completely.
Cool.
Way under. A new client has just come into the studio. Okay, just think of it that way. Yeah.
Cool.
So, you know, what I don't want to do is labor on the hyperrealism because, you know, of our summer session, we only have 6 weeks. We really want to cut to the chase and get the work done. You can always go back, you know, even after this class, when you have your critique and where I say, or where your peers say this could be improved, you can go back and do that, right?
Did you also want us to upload the hyperrealism, the thing that we worked over the weekend?
Yeah. So you want to, so this week you can do that. Just be sure that the progress for the hyperrealism is there. And then probably next Tuesday, we'll look at the final. Okay. So you have this week to work on the hyper, but now you're gathering your ideas together for the new poster.
Okay.
Yeah. Good question on that. So, so there's lots to talk about that we will do, but it is really utilizing. Now, here's an example of combining hyperrealism with a poster. So you remember I told you hyperrealism is an advertising visual technique to grab people's attention. And so this is where, you know, you're doing a hyperrealism on the upper part here, but then it's in a layout format for an advertisement. So that's why learning techniques are very important, such as the technique, which is this. We call this a type illustration. And, you know, these are what we call techniques that, you know, if you can't think of, if you've got a blank canvas and you can't think of anything, that's when you pull out of the hat those tricks. So a type illustration is always very successful. And so you can, that's a technique that can be utilized within any particular iteration. A lot of these things that I'm showing you are professional examples combined with students. So this is a student. So this was something that would have been a creative expression. She was, I think I have a couple of them. She was going to get married and she wanted to get the invitation into an interesting composite. Here's a very straightforward game design layout, advertisement. Another one utilizing the patterns. So everything that you see here are completely created, and this is student work right now, by multiple assets. So they gathered all the icons, they gathered some background, they got a silhouette of a logo, picked the font, created the background, found the texture for the background, colorized it. I think the background was black and white as the asset. So we're going to learn more tools such as gradient. Here's something where these are literally just photographs that she chopped up and then made them look like Polaroids, right? So a collage is really, collage came from Cubism. And so Cubism was one of the starting points, and then it took off into Bauhaus and all other kinds of design formats. So this also comes from like a Cubist theme. And Cubism is another theme like hyperrealism. It's an ism, and it's a body of work that has a particular recognizable theme, geometric shapes, broken apart, rotated. And this is a student work where they brought it into an advertisement. So we're going to come back to this and talk more about this today. So let's go to your progress and let's just have some conversations, and then we'll begin to share screens. So for instance, Gloria is where we take that opportunity after our session today at 3 o'clock. If you want to continue to listen on, or if you're all you know, wanting to just work on your own, that's totally, it's optional. So she is combining the fact, if you remember her concept, is children, they appear to make a mess, but to them, they think it's a masterpiece. And it's always beauty within the beholder, which is important to remember. So now she's bringing together her assets, you see? So this was an asset, this was an asset, and so forth. And so she's trying to work out the composition. Now, compositions are always really important to do within sketches. And so sometimes a lot of people can jump right into Photoshop and do their composition, while some individuals like to do sketches. So it's a preference that I didn't make requirement, but it's something of a conversation that I wanted to have with you, is that yes, people still draw on paper with pencil, and because you can do that without a computer. You can be doing that anywhere. So she's really trying right now to pull in the composition. And I can tell you, knowing who she is, she's an art therapist. Right away, this does not have an engaging feel because the student is far away. But now she's brought her closer to us. So we feel a little bit more engaged with the subject matter because they are closer. So that's an important composition decision. What she's doing now is trying, and I haven't had a conversation with her. I'm only seeing this because it's on her progress page. She looks like she's trying to find a way to incorporate the mess of the child's drawing and then the photograph. So my recommendation for her, I'm going to let her speak, is to try to integrate the brushstrokes. So that the brushstrokes go into the photograph and the photograph comes into her painting as brushstrokes. So that it's a little bit more like this versus hard edge as it is right now. So that would be what we call the composition. She's got Jackson Pollock back here somewhere or wherever it may be. So this is just something where she's working, and it looks like she's working with the rule of thirds. If you brought the guides and broke this up to 3 partitions, horizontally and vertically, the focal point would be right at the crossroads. So these are just techniques that cinematographers tend to call upon simply because you're working with a rectangle or a square or so forth.
Do we have to, I'm sorry, Professor, do we have to put the, like the progress like she did, or can we put can I put one of my original pictures and an explanation under it, if that makes sense?
You should have an explanation for each picture.
Okay, so like each picture I incorporate in the main picture, have an explanation for it?
Right, so for the progress, you have concepts and then you have progress. You want to talk about each picture that you have put up. You only need to put up 3.
Okay.
You only need to speak about 3 to 5 sentences for each image. But what you're trying to do is to communicate your skill.
Got you. And why you put the picture together.
Exactly, your creative objective as well.
Yeah.
So those combinations of tools and creative objective, even your frustrations.
Yeah. Now we could put
I'm sorry, Louis. I just want to say,
yeah,
the honesty of being not happy or challenged is a good thing. You don't want to say everything's great, I'm so happy this came out this way, blah, blah, blah. Positive and negative is a good combination. Louis, what you were saying?
Yeah, no. So in that one that you just showed with Gloria's, it's like she had the final, I don't know if you scroll down, she had the same picture twice, I guess.
Yes, but it was an improvement.
So do we have to do it like that? You want us to have the okay.
Right. So the thing to remember is that in your progress page, you're showing how things are going. So your progress.
Okay.
Not, I'm not looking, so to be sure that we're clear about this, there's a difference between iterations, which is iterations, iterations. Iterations is very different compositions or a slight tweak. Progress is one project that's improving and improving and improving and improving. So iterations is what we do when we have a client and our task is to do something. We give them at least 3 iterations different arrangements, different compositions. They choose between the three. For us, we're in an educational environment. I'm only looking for progress, a little bit improvement, and you think you're there, but you got to get critiqued, right? And so forth. So that's what she's doing here. She's making a decision too far away, right? So she brought it closer. Now she's, but then she brought in a little bit into a rule of thirds. This is vertical, right?
Okay.
This is horizontal. So this is her, she's making progress to improve the composition. Now what really has to happen is fine tuning the between this and that. The question is, you notice this whole photograph takes over. So, I could be, that art director saying, really, why don't we make a window here and have this sunset be in the window, right? And that she's trying to paint what she sees outside the window and still have it be part of this, like she's working it, like we all do in painting. Everything looks like a mess until you start fine-tuning everything. So that's just something that will make that decision. But these are like she has gotten the progress. So it looks like she's got her three so it looks like this is her last bit of composition. So now she's going to be needing a critique. I want to go up to the next one here because this was Gabrielle's. I don't know if Gabrielle, are you with us here? So the point with Gabrielle, I want you to see is that, he has chosen a hyperrealism asset already. You don't want to, this is to show the concept, that's fine to do that, but you don't want to use these as assets because this is already someone's hyperrealism. Now, whether this is true or not, I have no idea, but what you want to do is get separate images, an image of just a city, an image of different tornadoes, an image of, someone on the street. You want to be sure that your progress is going to, your concept is going to show elements that are not at all already been composited. So you see this one is composited. And you notice also how small these pieces are. So you have to be careful when you insert an image to choose the largest picture. I find that the mosaics that I use, when I click this, I get a big image. So that mosaic tile is very nice. It kind of just randomly aligns it, but when you click it, it can be very big. So let's keep going and looking at some other things. So Rebecca, I'm not sure if you put your progress up or not. So we had the idea on this. And so now this is great. And so now we clicked it, and it's great that you put it in that mosaic. We're just waiting for this. Okay, great. So this is what Rebecca did is also very good, because what she did is that she captured the screen in Photoshop. So Gloria did not. She exported her progress to a JPEG on that export save for web, where Rebecca just captured the screen. And that's fine as well. So Rebecca, no problem with that. And actually, capturing the screen like this is somewhat better because then we can see exactly the layers that you used and so forth. So, and now we have this, and your screen is big, which is why it's just taking a long time because of the screen sharing as it is. Okay, great. This gives me the creepiest feeling when I see this after all the articles we've read about ocean liners, right? So Rebecca, since your mic, if you want to put your mic on, let me see where you want to go with this in this. This looks like is this your last one here?
Yeah.
So I think, yeah. Tell me what you're thinking.
Oh, this one isn't the last one, it's the other one.
Okay. So I think this is what I love what Rebecca's done is that she has thought about the foreground, the middle ground, and the background. And that always helps compositions when you can delineate between those things. And what that does is it automatically begins to give you some depth. What I would recommend in my first take on this, and you have to remember that when you are working in the commercial world, which is, you know, working for studios, you have to remember that you put a lot of work into the things that you do. And sometimes you get really liking the work that you're doing. And in this particular case, this may be it for you. And so I'm making this preference because I'm going to be that obnoxious client, that obnoxious art director, and I'm going to tell you what I think. But you always can keep what we call a director's cut. A director's cut is they've completely ignored all the executive producers and they just did what they wanted to do. And they keep that for the archives, and it kind of comes out, you know, a year or two later after the release of the film and so forth. So my feeling is, at first I thought I was in a harbor because the ship was so big. So my feeling would be I would scale that ship down so that we can kind of get a little bit of the pool environment. So I was, you know, I forgot your concept. So when I initially just landed on this with my own, you know, not knowledgeable of your concept, I thought it was just a clean harbor, right? That the waters were clean. But then I was like, oh wait, no, this is a pool. So that's where I think if you scale that ship down a little bit, you would see that your concept would really come across. Like, okay, I can't go on a cruise, but I could put an ocean liner in my swimming pool and pretend that I'm on a cruise. So I think this is coming along really well on that. That would be the only thing I really have to say. And because I know you're in advertising, I would find a way to be able to put some type in. Even though we're doing a poster that has type, I know you as a marketing person, you're always going to want to be able to create portfolio examples where you're using those real world advertising compositions and layout.
How small do you think the ship should be though? So the only reason why I made it bigger was just, I was like, it doesn't really show that it's like a cruise ship and how big it is in like a small pool.
Yeah, I think what's really interesting is you've got a bit of a challenge here because of what we've been through on the global level, right? Everybody in the world, not just national, but everybody in the world is aware that this was a hub spot of COVID. So you might want to shrink it and get some of the pool attendees to be lounging around with masks.
Okay.
You know, that kind of thing. Giving those little details that at first you just kind of see somebody in a sun lounge chair, but then also know they've got the mask on, you know, that kind of thing. I think the fun one would be those plastic masks, right? They're a little stylish. You can kind of still see the face. And, you know, maybe you can still get a tan with them. I don't know. I'm sure you can't. But the point to be made is you can kind of mix it up between fashionable masks, right? You know, people who have very trendy, fashionable masks. But I think you could scale it down and like I don't have the Photoshop file. So, you know, I would be moving it around like you move chairs in a room when you're designing a room. You just don't know the scale yet. But I think if you can get it down, it'll be very interesting. I think the pool component would come in. So in the aspect of your type and image, when you're done with this, I would take it and put it into a magazine ad as if you were doing an article or a promotion for a cruise liner, right? In some way to get them to get on board with the cruise. Could be a hotel that feels like a cruise, right? And so there's an escape route so you can get off the boat when you want to get off the boat. Anyway, so that was really, so these are the kind of critiques to go through. Now, Smashy, I think you're with us, right? Smashy? I saw him log in. Yeah. So Smashy, on yours, when you add this, you want to do that mosaic tile that we just said. I'm going to show you where that is so that you can get this. But this is good. You want to, remember, you want to have eventually you'll have your 3 images and have your conversation about the 3 of them. I can see you had difficulty with where the image is inserted. Just be sure, just delete that and put it above it or below it.
When you say delete, what exactly?
This image here.
Delete it?
Well, because it looks like it's not properly placed in WordPress.
Oh.
You want to use it, and you're going to use it. You're going to put 2 more of your progresses up, in the blending. But let's come back to this when you correct it when our break time is. I'm going to show you right now how to get that mosaic tile, okay?
Appreciate it.
Let me do that because, and this is for everyone, as you notice, as Rebecca and I had on this context. So when we go up here, remember clicking sites, clicking pages. I'll take my digital imaging. I'll go to the bottom here so I can show you. So you see I highlight this and I right click and I hit return. You want to always be sure you can see the cursor before you insert. So now I'll come up here to add content, add media, and I'm just going to select a bunch of pictures here, which is what you would do. I don't want to do that. I can always go back. Let me go back to where I was here. Are you still with me, everyone?
Yes.
Okay, good. So you see I've selected, and it's like there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, right? So there's 3 images that I selected. And then up here, tiled mosaic.
I've never seen this one.
Yeah, so that's because you've only inserted 1.
I was doing inline image. I'm doing that wrong then.
Yeah, there you go. So so again, let me go back and just do 1. So if you only do 1, let's go add image, media. I'm going to choose 1, and then I'm going to insert. And let's see if this comes up or not. Definitely a delay. Up, here it comes. And now it's bringing it full screen. Let's take a look. Let's update this. And let's close. Let's look at what the public sees. Click this. Then click the view site. This lets you see what the public sees. Go back to the page. You could do preview, but I just want you to be sure to always see public view. So you see how nice and big it is.
Yeah.
So going back, again, back to the pages, to see the preview, you can go this way too. Whoop, I don't want that one. When we come back to this. So if you have multiple images, let me delete that. So on edit, now I just want to show you a little bit of something also. You can actually use WordPress as a site that archives your images from Photoshop or any other program and copy and paste a URL into another program like Facebook. So in other words, when this comes up slowly, as it is, this is a URL. You can copy that URL. Let me come out of this and try to get this to show it to me quicker. There, okay. So you see I had to come out of it, wasn't working. So right here, I could copy this URL. There's your URL, copy. And then this shows me the dimensions, right? Cancel that. Come up here to a new tab, just Control V, paste it. And now that image will come up because it's pulling from your online archive of images that are on WordPress. So you can put that in other programs like Facebook, Instagram. Oh no, I think Instagram makes you upload it. I'm not sure if they let you just do a URL. So that's my inexperience with Instagram. But the point to be made is that you can utilize these links. So if you wanted something to pop up versus be embedded, that would be one way to do that. So again, that way of getting the mosaic is important, and try to just do that splashy on that, because it looks like you're doing well with, let me go back to your site. Come back up here. So we click this and view site, but there is a preview option in that page. So just get that. So on here, just looking at a quick critique before I get cut off, I got 5 minutes now. You see, I can't click this and go bigger. So you want to go back, just delete it and reinsert it again. Sometimes it's easier just to delete and start again than it is to fix something that you can't get what you want. So always remember that when you're in programs. So I like where you're going with this. We just have to get this to be a little bit more merged so that the face of the lion and Marley come together.
That's what I'm having trouble with.
Yeah, well, that's what I can help you with, Splashy.
All right.
So one of the things that all of you can do as a SUNY WCC student, you have OneDrive. So if you want me to download your PSD, because you can't put your PSD to the blog. You can only put a JPEG to the blog, or a PNG to the blog, or an animated GIF for visuals. You know, you can put Word documents, you can put PowerPoints, but you cannot put a PSD. If you want me to see your PSDs, you can upload it to your OneDrive through your SUNY email and just email me access, and I can access it and download it. So that's one way that Splashy, we can share your screen, but I can really help you, and this goes for everyone who's listening. I can help all of you specifically. If you send me your PSD, then I can open it and tutorial it with everyone as well. So you're more than welcome to do that, and then that way I can download it and then I can open it as a PSD.
Thank you.
Let me go back to look at some of the other ones. Matthew, I don't know if you're with us.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so Matthew, I don't know if you were able to put up your blog, your progress.
Yeah, it should be there. It's the one to the left.
This one here?
Yeah, the founders of Israel.
Okay, so here's what's important for everyone. You want to be sure to personalize your blog. We don't want to be going to a blog that looks like it's a WordPress theme. So right here, this is where you can put under settings what you want to do here. You can go in here. This is probably a post, is what I believe this theme is. So you can change that and put your own photographs. I know you guys have lots of photographs having a smartphone. So definitely just put a photograph of your own here. The other thing too, Matthew, is, you know, you're trying to build this portfolio as a portfolio. You want to make a page. These are pages, and down here are posts.
All right, gotcha. All right.
So there's a difference upon that. So we can go back to fix that, you know, in our sessions to troubleshoot.
All right. Yeah, I've been distracted by a couple other things.
Yeah, no, it's you know, WordPress is another program that you're learning outside of Photoshop, but it is really an essential program. So this is great. I don't remember your concept. Tell me what your objective here is.
Well, I've been fumbling around from objective to objective because I've been trying to figure out Photoshop, but I figured I can I would just like take photos from my time traveling around the world, like the time I've been to Israel, which is what you see right here in the
Okay.
background, and then take these little and like collab it with something that's unusual to like twist it to make it a new reality that's similar but different at the same time.
Yeah, no, I love it. I think it's great. You know what I love about flamingos, to me, they always look hyper realist to begin with, right? A bird on this one stick. That might be something that you can incorporate in that, where you take other animals and put them on that one stick, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So that at first you think, oh, they're all, they're all flamingos, but wait a minute, there's an elephant on the stick, or other animals that are in Israel, that kind of thing. So that, that context is very good. Now, on something like this, are these notable people, or are they just individuals?
Oh yeah. The notable people. They're
Okay.
They founded Israel.
Okay. So the other thing too is on a critique like this, I'm feeling like a herd situation, right? So there's a group of people here, and then there's these animals back here. It would be interesting if you got any animal closer to us, maybe they have the masks on and these do not. Or don't use the masks at all, but just have them be as if they're talking to each other.
Gotcha.
Or other figurines.
All right, that sounds good. I can do that.
It's that combination so that we feel that there's a conceptual idea here, which is what I like, but that, and on here, you see the tonality of these statues. What we have to do is get them to feel like they're outside. And so when I